Hi, this is Mr. West, and you're watching a Kuta software worksheet tutorial for simplifying variable expressions. Now, what is an expression? An expression is a mathematical statement without an equal sign. So you'll notice that all of these questions do not have any equal signs, so we're just simplifying them. We can't solve them because it doesn't have an equal sign. You only solve equations, you simplify expressions. So actually going to start with number 3 here. Here we have 7x minus x. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to show you that we can expand this 7x into x plus x plus x plus x. And we're going to do this 7 times, okay? A number added to itself 7 times would be the same thing as 7 times whatever that number is. Remember, variables are simply unknown values. So we don't know what the value of x is, but we do know that we're going to be multiplying it by 7 or adding it to itself 7 times. And then we have this minus x right here. Now, one thing I want to point out, anytime we have this right here where it doesn't look like there's a number in front of the x, there is an implied 1 there, okay? So you can have a minus 1 in front of the x because that minus sign's already there and there's implied 1. If there were just, for example, plus x, there's, again, an applied 1 in front of that x, but there's no plus x here. All right, so now we have x plus x plus x and so on, 7 times minus x. Well, we do know that x minus x, same thing as like 3 minus 3, that's going to give us 0. So essentially this cancels away, and we could put plus 0 here, but we don't need to, okay? So what's left? We have 6 x's, okay? Or we can write that as 6 times x. So that's going to be our answer for this. Simplified answer, 6x. We don't know what the value is, but we can simplify it. Remember, we're just simplifying here. Now let's go over to number 4 before we get into like number 1 and 2. We have 7p minus 10p. Now I could kind of use my time not wisely and just write out p plus p plus p and so on, but that's not a good way to use my time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call this 7p, okay, and keep it as 10p. And I'm just going to concentrate on the first part, the coefficient. The coefficient is the number in front of the variable. So if I have 7 minus 10, and that was by itself, that would give me an answer of negative 3. Okay, the negative number is bigger. We're taking away 10 from 7, so we're going to go into the negatives. And we're going to leave the p on there, okay? Because remember, we know that 7p is the same thing as p plus itself 7 times, and then minus 10p would be p being subtracted 10 times, so our answer is just going to simply be negative 3p. Essentially, this is just like a tag, okay? It's like a label. So we have 7p's minus 10p's gives us negative 3p's. If we had 7 apples minus 10 apples, we'd have negative 3 apples, and it's just the label for it, okay? So if we have a variable expression and we're combining them, we're going to have a variable with our answer. So negative 3p is our answer there. Let's go ahead and jump to the same thing here real quick. We get negative 3p plus 6p, and that would just be 3p. It'd be the same thing as, because the bigger number is positive, we're going to get 3p as our answer. So very similar to number 4. Let's go ahead and go to number 2. This one's different. We're not going to, well, we could put a 1 there. Okay, so that's 1b minus 3 plus 6 minus 2b. Now, we're not going to combine all of these together because they're not all the same. This would be like our bananas, and then these are something different. These are just numbers, our regular numbers. So we can't combine these with these unknown values because we don't know what they equal, whereas we do know what these ones equal, okay? We know this is negative 3. We know that's positive 6. So what I like to do is I like to underline in similar fashion the like terms. So numbers are going to be like terms. They don't have any variables. And then our variables, these are different, so I'm going to underline them a little differently just so I know that they're the same. If you want now, you can regroup them. So I have 1b minus 2b. And then I'm going to write these guys next to each other also. You don't have to do this step, but I'm just trying to show you that we can group these a little bit differently. So I have 1b minus 2b minus 3 plus 6. Well, we can do these together. These are like terms. They both have a b, okay? So I know that 1b minus 2b gives me negative 1b. Okay, that's my answer there. And then I know that negative 3 plus 6, well, we just did something very similar over here, just with the variable, is positive 3. Now, what do I do from here? There's nothing left to do. You can't combine these terms. So this is all there is left. Okay, you can also write this as negative b plus 3, and it might have that listed as the answer, but either one of these are correct. Okay, so that's our final answer. We leave the b's together, and we leave the numbers together. Okay, variables go with variables, numbers go with numbers. Let's do a couple more before we get to the harder ones at the bottom. So here we have only one variable. Okay, so our one variable here, negative 3v. And again, I like to underline it because you're not going to have, chances are, highlighters and stuff with you. Okay, so I'll underline this one. No, let's keep it consistent. I'll use the squiggly for the variables. And then for our numbers, we have 1 and 10. Okay, so that's a positive 1 and a positive 10, so that's going to give me 11. And then minus 3v, there's no other variables there, so I'm going to keep it as minus 3v. And that's it. There's nothing else to combine, so that's my final answer. It's as simple as that for all of these questions. Let's see if there's a couple more. Okay, here's one. So here we have my variables. Okay, we have two variables here. Okay, 5r, and I like to call that negative 9r. And then we have just a regular number here, a constant, as they're called, and that's 9. So I'm going to have 9. There's nothing left to combine it with. That's it. And then I have 5r minus 9r. That gives me minus 4r, and that's my final answer. Let's go ahead and jump to 16 now, and if you need to rewind, go ahead and do that. I'm going to try to speed through this so you can get all these problems done in as fast as time as possible. Okay, so we have negative 2 times the quantity 7 minus n plus 4. It's the same process, just one extra step, which is we have to distribute. So we have negative 14. You can distribute first before trying to identify your terms. Negative 2 times negative n gives me a positive 2n, and then I have plus 4. And now I'm just doing the same process. I'm identifying my numbers, and I'm identifying my variables. I only have numbers to combine here, and that gives me negative 10. And then I have my variable plus 2n, and that's going to be my final answer. Let's go to another one. I want to jump to 18. This one's deceivingly difficult. Okay, I'm actually going to move this up. Program I'm using is Notability, by the way. Still looking for a sponsorship. So I have this negative sign I'm distributing here. Okay, now you're probably like, what? You just had distributed a negative sign. That's okay. Technically, this is a negative 1 times those two values, which essentially just changes the sign. So what's going to happen inside this parenthesis, okay, I'm going to do this a little differently just so you can see. So I have negative 1 times positive 1, that gives me negative 1, and negative 1 times, or a negative times a negative 6p gives me positive 6p. Anytime you have a minus sign out in front of parentheses, you have to change the sign of the parentheses first before proceeding. So now I have a negative 4p minus 1 plus 6p. Now I can do this like normal. Okay, so I have my two variables here, negative 4p and 6p, and I get 2p. And then I have minus 1, and that doesn't have anything else, so that's my final answer. Let's just do one more to wrap this all up. We'll do another hard one. Looks like, let's just go to number 22. I'm feeling 22 today. 3 minus 8 times 7 minus 5n. Distribute first, okay? And when we're distributing this whole thing. The sign in front of that number 2, okay? It doesn't look like there's an operation taking place here. There's an implied multiplication going on right there, okay? That because the number, I need to move this over just a little bit, I missed. Okay, there's an implied multiplication going on right there, okay? So I have negative 8 times 7, negative 56. Negative 8 times negative 5n, that's positive 40, okay? If I multiply negative 8 times negative 5n, what I need to do is just multiply the numbers first and then just leave the n by itself. So I have negative 8 times negative 5 is positive 40, and then I just leave the n on there. Okay, so that's how you multiply in case you didn't know that. And of course I have that 3, he just drops down. Okay, he didn't get involved in all of that. So I have 3 minus 56 plus 40n now. I just rewrote it. So then I have, these numbers are the same. And then this guy's by himself. There's no other variables to combine him with. So we're going to get negative 53 plus 40n, and that's going to be our final answer. So that's all there is for simplifying variable expressions, not equations. We're not solving, we're simplifying. Mostly just identifying like terms and combining them. If you like this video, make sure to let me know. Leave a comment if you need more questions done or if you have any questions on this. And check out more videos like this right here on this channel next time on Wes Explains Best.